You've probably heard the saying, even from me, one stream of income is too close to zero. And so today we're going to talk about how you can multiply your streams of income and protect the assets along the way. My guest is a trust consultant. And so we're going to talk about the importance of trust, why you need a trust and not a will or a wish list, and how you can grow and scale your portfolio, put it in your trust, and have it making even more money for you. You do not want to miss this episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. Welcome to the Aid to Assets podcast, the ultimate podcast for aspiring real estate investors. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson. Join me as we discuss real estate investing for 9 to 5.
Like, your work ethic should never change based on the result.
You cannot put a price tag on your safety.
When you can understand the foundation and how we got here, it will give you direction on how it could potentially go.
If you want to get some real estate, the best way to get it is to start investing in real estate. And that's what I'm saying. Tax liens and tax deeds is the best way.
So we are meant to be in movement and in constant motion, in constant discovery of ourselves. And that's why we get to explore so many different things of ourselves.
This is your Aid to Assets. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson, and I am so excited about my guest today because now that we have believed that we're real estate investors, we've executed as we all know that we should, now we're going to figure out how do we make sure that we protect these assets that we have. And so Christina is going to tell us all about the wonderful world of trust and how to make sure that we secure after all this hard work. Christina, how you doing today?
Oh, Tiffany, thank you so much for inviting me onto the podcast. I'm super excited and I am doing absolutely well and splendid today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. So before we get into all of the fun stuff, we like to start with receipts here. And one of the things that I know about you, but I want my listeners to know is why they should be listening. So y'all go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure that you have your notepads. But Christina, tell us about your experience in real estate. What's that portfolio looking like? What deals have you done? And then we'll get into the trust stuff.
Okay, perfect. So I have actually been a real estate investor since 2015 and I started flipping houses. So I flipped houses for a total of 9 years and I flipped over 25 properties. And right now today I have 10 doors. So I'm super excited about that. And right now I am transitioning. I decided that I'm no longer going to sell my properties because that's the fix and flip strategy. So now I'm actually holding all of my properties because that's the true way to generational wealth. So you cannot be selling these properties and giving them away and just only holding on to the cash. So now I'm actually going to get into development. So that is my strategy moving forward.
Love it. So y'all, I just want to make sure we start out. Y'all know I like to bring the heavy hitters on here. So Christina said 9 years, 25 properties. Ladies, for those of y'all that be in my DMs that we have these conversations about like, I can't fix, that's too manly. Stop it. We're not doing that anymore. So 9 years, 25 properties. She now has a portfolio of 10 properties in her own name. Y'all, this is totally doable. Less than a decade. Sis is sitting on 10. And now we're going to go into the development. And so that's one of the cool things about real estate is that you can never get bored. There's always something new to do and a new level. So let's me back to the beginning though. Like, why real estate?
Oh, that is such a good question, Tiffany. So I will take you back to the bottom. So first is that my father, he was a real estate investor. Okay. So growing up, I saw my father flipping houses. And fast forward into the future, when I was in my mid-20s, that's when I decided, let me start flipping houses. So it was already engraved in me from a young girl because my dad would actually take me to these properties. He was a general contractor. He's retired now, but he was a general contractor and he was fixing and flipping for other people over here in Atlanta and in Miami. And he also did it for himself as well. So there was a couple properties that he held on to himself, and I just saw him do it, and it always, inside of me, it always kept that desire for me to want to do what my dad is doing. And it really made me put a liking to real estate and just to, houses, to fixing up houses. So because my father was doing it, I had that desire. Fast forward into the future, I actually went to school for nursing. I became a nurse. And like a year into my career, I was burned out. And I did not think that, because I went to school for 4 years to become a nurse. And I'm like, this is my end all be all career. So 1 year into it, I actually started working at a hospital that was short staffed. And a lot of you guys know that when you hear the term nursing, you know that it's always talking about short staff. The hospital is short staff. And so that's the hospital that I started my career in, a hospital that was short staffed. So I was actually working overtime and double time, which at that time was kind of illegal. So what I was doing was I was literally working 5 and 6 days a week. And I was working these 12, 13-hour shifts. And I was young. At that time, I was 23 when I started my career. I had a 1-year-old baby, and I was literally burnt out. And I said, something has to give. There has to be something better than this, because right now I just started this career and I already want out. And I have no time for my baby. My baby is being raised by my mom and dad. So it put me in a position where I'm like, okay, I have to seek more. I have to seek knowledge. I need a plan B, because I don't think that this career for me is sustainable. Because at that point, I was spending more time with my coworkers than I was with my baby. So I was driving to work one day, and on the radio, there was a guy, and he said, do you want to learn how to flip houses? And it triggered something in my mind instantly. And I answered the question out loud as if somebody was in the car with me. And I'm like, yeah, I want to learn how to flip houses. And then he's like, okay, well, we're having a seminar, in 2 weeks. Go ahead and call this number so you can get a spot. I called the number. I enrolled into the seminar. It was a 3-day seminar teaching about real estate investing, specifically flipping houses. It was by this guy named Dan Merrill, who he was on this flipping show called Flip This House. And when I tell you, I learned so much about real estate investing and flipping in those 3 days than I did my entire life. And when you go to a conference and you get that knowledge and you start networking with people, it really puts fire on your behind, and you get so motivated and you're like, yes, I can do this, right? You feel so empowered. And that is exactly how I felt. I felt empowered. I knew that I was capable of flipping houses, and I actually decided to enroll in mentorship. So they were offering mentorship, and I said, yes, I definitely need this. I'm going to invest in myself because I want to learn how to flip houses the right way. I don't want to make any mistakes. And so I got into mentorship, and within 6 months of me being mentored, I acquired my first property. And thank God, because my mentor, he's actually a hard money lender. So a lot of you guys who are familiar with real estate, you guys probably hear the term hard money or private money all the time. And so that's one way of you being able to finance these properties. And usually they'll give you like 80-90% of the loan to value or the purchase price. But for me, because he was my mentor, he actually gave me 100% of the money. He's like, Christina, all you need to do is come up with the rehab money. And I said, okay, I got that. Like, the rehab is going to be 30,000. I have the 30,000. He's like, okay, perfect. And so he actually put down 100% of the money for me to acquire this house. And my real estate investor, my hard money lender, which was my mentor, he had over 2,000 properties at that time. And he had a massive portfolio, and all of his properties were under a trust. And so he told me, he's like, you need to put that property under a trust. So when I closed on that property, I closed under a trust. And that's how it started.
Wow. Oh my gosh. There's so much that I want to unpack here, because that is an amazing story. So one, I want to go back, because you mentioned that you had gone to school to be a nurse, and we know that is no joke. Like, it's so much work, it's so much studying that you're doing, and then actually to be in the field, it's even more on top of that. And for many of our listeners, they're in similar situations where, we have the big majority of our audience is the 9-to-5ers. And so many of us have gone to college. We're now working these corporate jobs. And so we feel like we have to stay here because this was the plan. This is what we were supposed to do. Tell us how you were able to navigate that mindset and be willing to pivot into something completely outside of what you thought you were going to do for your whole career.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Watson, and I am your local neighborhood expert. Born and raised right here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, I'm very familiar with today's current market to help you best sell your home. Whether you are trying to decide what repairs you may need to make, what you should list your home to get the best profit, or how to negotiate with buyers once you promote your property, I am here to be your trusted confidant through every step of the journey. Fill out the information form below, and I'll be happy to give you a call to talk with you about the home selling process. I can't wait to serve you. Looking forward to seeing you at the closing table.
Yes, it definitely took a mindset shift because, to be honest with you, I thought that I was going to be in nursing forever because my coworkers, they were literally in their 50s and 60s and they had 20, 30 years of experience. So me going in, I thought, okay, this is going to be me. Like, this is my, this is going to be my bread and butter for the next 20, 30 years. But because of all the challenges that I faced in my career, which was, definitely one of them was just the burnout, the being underpaid, right? Underutilized, and also the pandemic came around as well, which was one of the things that actually propelled me into going into my business full time. So the way that I was able to navigate was through a mindset shift. And I literally would be on my lunch break at the hospital reading books on business, reading books on real estate investing, watching podcasts, watching YouTube videos, just trying to learn because I knew that I wanted to transition. But I told myself, you can't end your career without having something sustainable. So that's why I started my business and I was doing both simultaneously. And I would recommend that everybody and anybody do that. So don't, just end your career and jump full force into it. You might want to be in the middle where you are doing your career full time, but then after you're done with your 9 to 5, then you're doing your 5 to 9, which is you are running your business. And so I did that for years. I want to say I did that for 5 years actually. And that was my transition period. And so I knew that I wanted to build up my business, but I was taking, the I would say like the slow route because I was doing both. So I was running my business and then also doing other investments too. So I did not want to only depend on one stream of income. I saw how it was negatively impacting my family. And so I put a goal in my mind to have multiple streams of income. And so by the time I left nursing, I had 8 streams of income. Yes, yes, yes. And I was just investing, investing, investing. When I tell you my job was my business partner, yes. When I tell you my job funded my dreams, yes. When I tell you my job funded my stock portfolio, all kind of stuff, all kind of investments, that's just what I needed at that time. So I sacrificed. I continued to work until I had the 8 streams of income. And then the pandemic came and I said, okay, I don't need to work anymore because the working conditions were worse than when I started. So now it's more burnout, but now it's confusion. It's unethical, practices in the hospital. And so I said, I can't take the chance of one, getting sick and taking it to my family, but then two, witnessing what the hospital was doing to patients that they didn't even really know how to treat this disease. So I was like, okay, I need to walk away from my career. And so I walked away July 4th of 2020, and I never looked back. I decided to bet on myself.
Wow. So you just celebrated 4 years. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's so inspiring. Okay. So, first of all, I love the fact that one of the things that one of my mentors says regularly is you have to be willing to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And so hearing you say that like you work this 9 to 5, which wasn't really a 9 to 5 because like we talked about, you work in 12-hour days. So then to be willing to do lunch breaks, after work, before work, and be willing to invest in your business, that is amazing. And I tell people a lot of times there's this buzz with entrepreneurship of like, just quit your job, be your own boss. Okay, wait, real quick. I love the way that you put it, that your job was your business partner and it funded what you were doing outside of work. So then you could be in a position to leave when you were ready.
Yes, that is so totally true. Yep. And that was the
Love.
goal.
Yeah. And that big picture is so important because a lot of times we know we want to leave, but we don't actually have a clear goal or path of what does that actually mean and look like if we were to leave those jobs, because bills are still going to come around.
Right, that is so true. And that's why I think that everyone should definitely have a plan in place, and they cannot just depend on one stream of income. One stream of income is close to no streams of income. So you have to have multiple streams of income before you even decide to leave your job.
Okay. Now you mentioned, so when you did leave, you had 8 streams of income. So for someone that is like, how is that even possible? What does that mean? Can you share a little bit about like how you were able to build up 8 streams of income? What were they and how did they come about?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So with me, my career that was one stream of income, and then my business, my real estate investment portfolio, that was another stream of income. Then I had investments. So the first one was the foreign exchange market. So that was giving me a 10% return. I had the index fund stock market, so that was also giving me a return. And then I was doing affiliate marketing. So I was, and I'm still doing affiliate marketing to this day. That's one of my streams of income where I heavily promote like other, businesses and stuff like that, and I get a commission for that. So that was another stream of income. And then what was the crypto, forex, real estate, affiliate marketing, my business. I had another business I was attending to. It was slingshots. So we were renting out. Yeah, we were renting out slingshots. And then I was doing consulting on the side as well. So all of those different streams of income just, built up over time, and it actually led to me being able to replace my career. So it led to me being able to replace the income, my paycheck basically, that I was getting from the hospital.
Wow. That's incredible. And that's the goal. I love that because one, it shows that like everything doesn't have to be like getting a whole nother job. I was the queen of I'm going to work multiple jobs and not realizing that there's still a cap. There's only so many hours that I can work. There's only so much that I can do. And so having other income streams like that is super important. So that way I'm still not burning myself and killing out, because the goal for me especially was like, I just wanted time freedom. I spent so much time at work. And so now that's amazing. I thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
So now you mentioned that your mentor talked about, one, he was willing to fund the entire purchase of your first property, and all you had to do was come up with the rehab. And so I love, and I want to continue to highlight just the importance of the relationships that you are able to cultivate that can help you to be successful. So that's amazing. And I want people to hear what's possible. But he also gave you some game and told you, you need to put this house in a trust. Tell us why that's so important.
Yeah, it's super important because a trust can actually, protect your assets. And that's why he told me to do that because he saw that I was young. He saw that it was my first property. And in real estate, it can be seen as a male dominated industry. And so I'm young, I'm a female, I don't have any experience because this is my first property. And so he's like, you need to put that property into a trust because anything could happen, right? You are now going to be, that property is going to be going under construction. So anything could happen with the people who are going to be doing the construction, right? They could step on a nail, they could get hit by plywood, anything could happen to them. And then that would end up in a lawsuit and they would take the property from you. And so when he explained that whole process to me, it was an eye opener for me because I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I wasn't thinking, oh, maybe in, 90 days I might get sued. So he was always in a position where he's thinking, protection, protection, protection. And so he instilled that in me. And now I always think protection, protection, protection. You need to protect yourself from the possibility of a lawsuit before you even get the lawsuit, especially here, like in the United States. It's a very sue friendly country. And so he advised me, you need to put that property into a trust. So I set up a trust. I became the trustee and I put that property under the trust. And we closed on the property. And with that particular property, we purchased it for 89,000. So that's how much I bought it for. I sold it for $235,000, and everything was done under the trust. So I had no issues, operating as a trustee, and all that money went straight to the trust fund. And then I did it again and again and again and again. And the most important thing about utilizing a trust is the protection piece. But the second thing is privacy, because nobody knew that I owned the property. Right. So the contractors, they saw me. I was the one who signed, the agreements with them and everything, but they didn't know that it was me. They could have thought that it was anyone else because the property wasn't under my name. And the name of the trust wasn't anything that was tied to me. So that was the most important part as well. So not only that it was owned by an entity, but also that it was owned by a private entity where you don't know who is involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right here. Like the amount of cases we in the United States compared to other countries is astronomically different. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are putting ourselves in position to protect ourselves before we need it, right? It's always like, it's like that saying, like, you want to build your boat before it rains, not while it's starting to rain. And so this is definitely one of those examples of that as well. Now, for those who may not be familiar, because there's often a lot of conversation about trust versus wills, can you tell a little bit more about how a trust acts differently than what a will would, if, for example, with real estate?
Hey y'all, Tiffany here. Are you looking to purchase or sell real estate? As you know, I'm your aide to assets, and I want to help you with all of your real estate endeavors. Whether you're local here like me in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, I can then help you purchase or sell your next property. If you're looking to purchase or sell outside of North Carolina, let me know too. I can still help you. I have a team of agents all over the country that I can connect you with to partner on your next deal. Let's get to the closing table, y'all. We buy our way to wealth, whether that's buying right or selling better. Can't wait to hear from you. Click on the link in the bio if you want more information on how to personally work with me or an agent on my team. Talk to you soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So with a will is a contract, but I always tell people a will is a wish list, right? Because the main difference is that a will is not an entity, right? So it cannot own property like a trust can, okay? So with a will, what you do is you just put your last will and testament, which means this is my last wishes before I pass away. I want my daughter to get my house. I want my son to get my car and, the money in my bank account, right? And so that's usually what we think of as a form of I'm leaving an inheritance for my children. But that's not the case, right? Because a will end up in probate. It always does, and it always will. And the only way to not end up in a probate situation where it goes to the court and the actual judge is the person who decides on who gets the assets is to actually set up a trust. So the difference between the will and the trust is that a trust is a contract, but it's an entity that can own the assets. So you have to think about it this way. Do you want to set up a trust that can actually own your house and your children will be the beneficiaries? Or do you want to set up a will that can't own your assets and it's an automatic way for you to end up in probate? So one will avoid probate, which is the trust, and then the will not end up avoiding probate. So that's the main difference.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for that. Now, that's so we cleared that up. I wanted to make sure we got that out the way early about, because that's one of the biggest questions or concerns people have. Now, talk to us while we're living. How can we use a trust as a part of our wealth building strategy?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. So a trust can actually help you build wealth and it can help you build it, faster than you would without that type of entity. Why? Because like I said, it can actually own assets. So what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position to where you own nothing but control everything. That is what we call stewardship. So when you're thinking about wealth building, you need that mindset shift. And now you need to stop thinking in form of ownership and now thinking in the form of stewardship. So now that you have set up the trust, what you're going to do is you're going to put all of your assets into the trust. Now that all your assets are inside of the trust, then what you can do is you can use it to build wealth. So the first thing that we do is, a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually build credit with your trust. So just like how an LLC or a corporation can build credit, your trust can also build credit. So you want to actually put yourself in a position to where you're using OPM. You're using other people's money. So instead of you only relying on your own personal credit profile, now you're going to set up business credit for the trust. And now the trust you can leverage that credit profile for the trust. Why? Because now you can actually tap into funding, right? So now you can get credit cards and you can get loans for the trust, which you can use to acquire more assets. The goal is not for you to pour in your W-2 income, your hard-earned money. The goal is for you to actually set up the trust so that it can sustain itself and it can actually acquire assets and have, generate income and cash flow. And that is how you're, going to build wealth with it. And we use a bunch of different tools when we are building the wealth. So the trust is one component. And then we also use cash value life insurance in conjunction with that to be able to, to actually, one, protect the wealth that you're accumulating. Because a lot of us, we think about, oh yes, I'm building generational wealth, I have kids, and yeah, I'll go ahead and set up a trust. But then we never think, how am I going to protect the wealth? How am I going to preserve the wealth? So the way that you do that is by having the trust take out a life insurance policy on everyone that's associated with the trust. So that means you as the trustee, and that means your children as the beneficiaries. Because now that money that you have inside of the trust, you can put it into the cash value life insurance policy, and it's going to then be generating compound interest. You can borrow against it and you can put it down on real estate. You can put it into the stock market, crypto, things of that nature. And the money that you borrowed from your life insurance policy, your money is still staying in there working, earning compound interest. And that loan that you received is actually from the insurance company's money. So you get to use that money twice, right? Which is what you want. So it's already working inside of your insurance policy, but now you get to borrow against it and you can use it for real estate. So now you have cash flow for real estate. You can use it into crypto. So now you have, dividends from crypto, and you can use it into stocks. And that's how you're going to accumulate wealth with the trust.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I want people to hear, because once you have this set up and structured properly, every example that Christina just gave of how your money is making money has nothing to do with you going to work. Your money is making more money for you without you having to exert more work, more time, any of that. And that is what the goal is. I love it. So can you talk to me now a little bit about, at what point should someone consider setting up a trust?
Oh, that's such a great question. So anybody can get a trust, right? So there is, confusion out there in society that says you need $1 million in order to open up a trust. That is not true. A trust is a contract. You can create that contract yourself. Okay. So that might not cost you any money, right? But usually, if you're going to have someone set up a trust for you, usually it'll cost, it varies, right? It could be anywhere between, 1,500 upwards of 50,000. It just depends, right, on who you go to have your trust set up. And after that, you're going to fund your trust fund, right? And so you're just going to go open up a bank account and you can literally fund it with $100. So I would tell you, get that negative stigma out of your mind about you needing $1 million or you needing a lot of cash in order to set up a trust. So you, wherever you are in your point in life, you are able to get a trust. You don't even need assets, right? But you want to set up the trust before you even get the assets. So I would definitely tell anybody, one, if you have assets, then you definitely need a trust and you want to be able to protect those assets. But two, if you don't have assets, then this is still a good time, because now what you're doing is you're working forward, right, versus backwards. So that means that you're forward thinking and you're going to set up the trust now. The trust is going to be the owner of all of the assets that you're going to accumulate in the future.
Love that. Love that. Now, let's talk about those assets, because, of course, that's why we're here. So are there stipulations as to what type of assets, who has to own the assets in order to be able to put it in a trust?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, yes, when it comes to assets, these are the type of assets that you can put into a trust, right? So, you want the assets to have intrinsic value. That's one. Two, you want the assets to be able to be utilized by the beneficiaries, because ultimately, whenever the trust is expired or terminated, then those assets naturally go to the beneficiary. Okay. So now the type of assets that you can put is real estate or land or any type of property. You can put a vehicle, you can put jewelry, you can put art, you can put any type of collectibles or antiques, you can put royalties in there, you can put furniture in there, you could put your insurance policies, you can put stocks, bonds, crypto. You can also put weapons, you can put equipment, you can put businesses. So anything that you consider an asset, you can put it in there. And then as far as ownership goes, so as long as you are the owner, it doesn't matter if you are the owner or not, right? But whoever the owner is of, let's just say, the property or the vehicles, then they have to legally sign over and gift that to the trust. So for example, if you have a house that you live in and you're the person who's on the deed, then you're going to redeed it. So we do quick claim deeds, and we'll quick claim it from our personal name into the name of the trust. And now that property is in the trust. The trust owns it, right? And the same thing goes for like a vehicle. You'll do like a bill of sale, and then that car is now going to be in the trust. So that's how you're going to put assets into the trust.
Got it. Now, let's say, for example, I have a house that I want to put into a trust. How would that potentially, if at all, impact because I have a mortgage still on that house?
Are you looking to purchase a home in the next 6 months to a year? Before you get too deep into your home search, first thing you should do is get pre-approved by a lender. Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I am a local area expert here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I would love to help you find your new home. First things first, I can connect you with preferred lenders that can tell you how much home you can afford and what programs you qualify for, so less money is coming out of your pocket. Even if you're not in the North Carolina area, I can still connect you to a lender that can help you and then connect you to a realtor that will get you into your new home. Hit the link in my bio, or you can send me a message today so we can set up a time to talk about your home goals. Can't wait to see you at the closing table. Bye!
Yes, that's a really good question. So, with your mortgage, it's okay for you to gift your property to the trust. Like we said, you're going to quit claim it from your personal name into the name of the trust. Your mortgage is going to remain intact. Okay, so that means that it's going to still remain on your credit. And the mortgage is still going to remain in your personal name. Okay, nothing happens to the mortgage. Now it becomes the financial responsibility of the trust. So you can contact the mortgage company and update them and let them know that the new payer of that loan is going to be the trust. And that's pretty much how it works. And like I said, it is perfectly legal for you to put your property into a trust and still have your mortgage in your personal name. It's not going to cause what they call like a due on sale clause, where the mortgage company says, oh, all the money is due because you transferred the ownership, because they only do that if you transfer it to another individual's name, not to a trust entity.
Love it. I had no idea that there were so many things, one, that you could put in a trust. And then I'll be honest, I was one of those people who believed you had to have a bunch of money or a bunch of properties in order for a trust to actually be necessary for you. So this is super, super helpful.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, and absolutely, like, you don't need to have a lot of money. So a lot of us, we see that the wealthy families, the celebrities, that they have trust, and so we automatically condition ourselves to things, oh, that's not attainable, or oh, I'm not ready for that, or oh, my house is only worth $200,000. You need a mansion and all this stuff. Like, no, we need to shift our minds, and we need to know that we too need to get an estate. We too need to set up our trust. We too need to have our affairs in order, and we can do it now in our current financial situation or our current state.
I love that. I love that. Now, you also have a program for people that are interested in learning more and getting an even further, greater understanding of trust. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the name of my program is called Wealthy Trustee, and I'm pretty much, teaching you how to become a wealthy trustee. So inside of the program, I teach you guys how to actually set up a trust. And I teach you the foundations of what a trust is and the different parties involved, right? Because you have different parties like a grantor, a trustee, and beneficiaries. So I educate you on all that foundational stuff, and then we dive into different types of trust. So I recommend, if you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, you have a business trust. If you have a family or you have personal assets, then you have a family trust. And if you want to save on taxes, then you get a nonprofit tax exempt trust. So that is the structure that I recommend, and that's the structure that I teach inside of the course. So the course actually comes with 3 different types of trust, which are the ones that I just mentioned. So what I do is I actually provide you with the trust templates, and I break down every single paragraph inside of the trust so you can actually understand what you're going to be operating. After you have set up your trust, then I show you how to get your EINs with the IRS and how to open up your bank account and fund it. I show you how to do board meetings so that you can actually operate your trust the right way. And then I show you how to some different tax strategies and how to build wealth with the trust. So that is you actually establishing business credit and then using that business credit to then go get the assets. So that's you investing in index funds and real estate, and then doing infinite banking with the insurance policies. And I provide a bunch of resources as well as ebooks. And then we have like a community. So right now we have over 500 trustees nationwide that have been going through this process. So they are trustees right now. They have their properties in the trust, their bank accounts, they're building credit. So it's absolutely phenomenal. So inside of our Facebook group and our Telegram chat, you get, to network with your fellow trustees, which is the most important thing, because you want to be in a room and in a space with like-minded individuals, which are trustees just like you, protecting their assets.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. And I love that it's not just about the trust, but then also what you do once you have the trust and how can you truly leverage this as a part of your wealth building plan. So that's an amazing opportunity. And y'all, it will be linked in the description. And so if you're interested, definitely check it out. As you can see, Christina has a wealth of knowledge that she's able to pour into people to help you figure out how you are truly going to build that generational wealth.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so before we wrap up, one of the things that we like to do here on the Aid to Assets podcast, we believe in vision casting and setting intentions. So when you think about you and your business 1 year, 3 years from now, your choice, what is going to be true for you?
Yeah, so what I see is just impacting the masses and going international, and just helping as many communities and families as possible to help these families, and their children, like, not lose their inheritance. I've just seen it so many times. And so that's literally my mission here on earth. And so I see it on a global scale, where we will be in, different countries like Africa and the Caribbean, educating on the importance of them actually getting their affairs in order, leaving a legacy, being, what we call the generational curse breaker. It takes one very powerful person in the family to say, we're changing the trajectory of our family. And now it's time for us to go in a different direction. And now it's time for us to, create our estate and get our affairs in order and protect our assets, or build this generational wealth. So, I see us going global, honestly.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, I know that it is going to be amazing. Best of luck to you in all of the ways in which you inspire the masses. Thank you again so much for your time here on the show and the gems that you drop with us. It has been amazing.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. I appreciate you bringing me on. And it was such an impactful conversation that we had. So I really appreciate you. And I hope that one person, really was able to grab that nugget and run with it and take action. So, we're in the business of saving lives and families. So thank you so much, Tiffany, for everything that you do and how you're impacting the masses as well.
Thank you. Tell the people where they can connect with you online, on social media, all that fun stuff.
Okay, so my name is Christina Ivette, so you can actually find me on all social platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, at Christina Ivette. So Yvette is Iveette, and then my brand is 7 Ways to Wealth with the number 7. So you can find me on Instagram and YouTube on the number 7 Ways to Wealth, and you'll be able to find our channel and our social platforms there.
Love it. Y'all be sure to tap in with Christina. Like I said, the link to her course will be in the description, as well as all of her social media handles. We believe in multiple streams of income over here. Y'all heard her say it perfectly. One stream of income is too close to zero, and we just cannot have that. So this has been another amazing episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. We'll see you at the closing table. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Aid to Assets. Remember, your journey from 9-to-5er to successful real estate investor is within reach. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep investing in your future. If you'd like to know more, connect with me on Instagram at Aid to Assets. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, happy investing.